Hello everyone, this is Glenda and welcome to my channel Creative Grandma. It's Stitch of the Week time, and this week's stitch I have a very unique stitch. I had a subscriber contact me, Marna Oliver, also known as Keto Marnie on YouTube, was trying to figure out how she made an Afghan. So she sent me pictures and I was able to recreate the pattern using her photos she sent me. This is a very unique stitch pattern where you're making it one column at a time, and then you come back, start your next column, and you attach it as you go. So it's more or less a mile a minute pattern where you're attaching each strip as you're crocheting up the strip to the previous strip. I'm going to call this an advanced beginner pattern because there's a lot of turning. You're going to chain 3, turn, chain 3, turn. So you really have to pay attention of where you're going when you turn the work. But I'll walk you step by step through it, and I'll have you making this pattern in no time at all. So let me show you my samples. The first sample you're looking at here, I thought, well, a lot of times we have those extra skeins of yarn of this and that. So I thought I'm going to take some of those multicolors and just separate it with white and just do a sample using that. So this creates a nice, what I want to say, scraptastic Afghan or sweater or whatever you want to make by using up those scraps, and just make each strip in a different color. You can separate it with white, or you can make each strip a different variegated color. Now my second sample's a little smaller because I wanted to get this video done so Marna can get her Afghan started. So here is one where I just used the same color. Again, each strip is started separately, and then you join it to the bottom of the previous strip. You crochet your shell, attach it to this one, crochet your shell, attach it, and you're just working one strip at a time from the bottom up, and then the next strip, the next strip, the next strip. So that is the white sample. My third sample, I thought I'll just use some solid colors, and again, this is a great way to use up those scraps if you have one skein of this or one skein of that. So this is just my sample using solid colors, changing colors with each strip I add. So for today's sample that we're going to make, I'm just going to use two colors. I'm going to use this green, and then I'm going to use a white, and then I'm also using a size H8 or 5mm hook. So grab your yarn, grab whatever hook you want to use. Now the one thing I forgot to mention is this stitch pattern has no multiple. Because we're starting down here with our little chain 6 loop, you don't need to have a multiple. You're just starting with your chain 6 loop, working your shell, and repeating that pattern up. So no multiple needed for this pattern. You just need to know how long you want to make your Afghan or project and just work that up to the length you want. So grab your yarn, grab your hook, and let's get this pattern started. I have my yarn attached to my hook, and I just used a double knot. So for this pattern, we're going to begin with the chain 6, yarn over, pull through the loop on your hook. That creates your first chain. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to slip stitch into that 6 chain from hook. So skip the first 5 chain, insert into that 6 chain from hook, and slip stitch. So you want to create your chain 6 ring. Now the first strip is the easiest one to make because we're not attaching it to the other strip. So we're just working that strip right up to the length we want. So I'm going to work up 5 shell stitches. So let's begin. We're going to start row 1 with a chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then you'll see you still have your ring, and we're going to work 5 double crochet into the center of that chain 6 ring. Yarn over, insert in the center of that chain 6 ring, yarn over, pull back through that ring. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. That is a double crochet. We need to make 4 more. Yarn over, insert into the center of that ring, work your second double crochet, 2, yarn over, insert back into that same center of the ring, work your third double crochet, yarn over, insert back into the center of the ring, work your 4th double crochet, 1 to go, yarn over, insert back into the center of that chain 6 ring, work your 5th double crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to go ahead and start our repeat. So if you need help, this is where you're going to click back on the video where I say this is the start of the repeat for column 1 or the beginning strip. So let's begin. We're going to turn our work and we're going to skip the first 2 stitches. We're going to skip the first double crochet. We're skipping this chain 3, follow it down. So we're skipping the first and second double crochet. Insert into the top of the 3rd double crochet of that 5 double crochet group, go under both top loops and slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through the top of that stitch and pull through the loop on your hook. So what you're doing is creating the chain 3 loop so we can work our stitches. So now you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to turn your work again. And it's going to seem awkward when you first start this because you think that's not right because you have all these stitches here. Well, that corrects itself. We're going to be working our 5 double crochet right into this chain 3 loop space. Yarn over, insert into that chain 3 space, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you can see how it's starting to form where you're seeing these chain 3 loops on the edge of your work, and that's where we attach our next strip to in these chain 3 loops. We're going to chain 3, and that is the end of the repeat. So now we're going to go ahead and do it again. I'm going to go ahead and work a total of 5 shell stitches. So I'm going to do the repeat 3 more times with you, and that way you should really get a good grasp of how we're turning and where we're going into the stitches. So again, this is the start of the repeat. You're going to turn your work. You're going to skip that beginning chain 3. You're skipping this first double crochet here. You're going to skip the second double crochet. So we're skipping those first 2 stitches, and you're going into the top of that 3rd double crochet of that 5 double crochet group. So skip 1, 2 stitches, insert into the 3rd right under the top 2 loops of that 3rd double crochet and slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that stitch and pull through the loop on your hook. You just made your chain 3 loop for working your stitches. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to turn your work, and then you'll see your chain 3 loop. So now we're going to work 5 double crochet into this chain 3 loop. Yarn over, insert into that chain 3 loop, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and your shell is made. So you see we have 3 total right now. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to start the repeat again and make another section on top of this one. Again, to do the repeat, you're going to turn your work. You're going to skip the first 2 stitches, insert into the 3rd stitch under the top 2 loops and slip stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then turn your work. You're going to work 5 double crochet into this chain 3 loop, yarn over, insert into that chain 3 space, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Your shell is made, and you should have a total of 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do it one more time, and I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but sometimes when you're learning these patterns, it really helps to work right along several times. So we're going to chain 3, and that ends the repeat. But if you're ending your strip, then you would not chain 3. You would just fasten off at the end of your 5 double crochet. So I'm going to go up one more section. You're going to turn your work. Again, this is the start of the repeat. You're going to skip the first 2 stitches, 1, 2, insert into the top of the 3rd stitch under the top 2 loops, and slip stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Turn your work, and now we're going to work our 5 double crochet into this chain 3 space. Yarn over, insert into that chain 3 space, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see we have a total of 5 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now if you're going to continue and make your strip longer, then you would chain 3 and continue. But when you're ready to end your strip and you have it the length you want, you're just going to fasten off after you make your 5 double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and fasten off, and I just chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook up, pull my yarn out, grab my yarn, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So this is your first strip. So now I'm going to grab my white yarn. So to start your second strip, you want to attach your yarn onto your hook. So I attached my yarn, and now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So to make our actual chain 6 loop to get our strip started, we're making half of it by chaining 3. Then you're going to grab your first strip that you made, and you're going to start down in the very first row of that strip. You're going to find that chain 3 space. Here they are, right on the end of each shell up your column or strip. So go down to the very first one, and you're going to insert your hook from front to back right through that first chain 3 loop and slip stitch. Yarn over, pull underneath and around that chain 3 space, and then pull through the loop on your hook. So now we have to make the second half of our chain 6 loop. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to turn your work, and then you're going to come over to the very first chain of that chain 3 that we made, and you're going to slip stitch so we can make our loop. Slip stitch into that chain. And then when you look, we have our chain 6 loop, but it's slip stitch to attach. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to turn your work. So now we're going to be working right into this chain 3 loop. It's really a chain 6, we just attached, but the instructions will say chain 3 loop right here. We're going to work 5 double crochet. Yarn over, insert into that space, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Your shell is made. So now we're going to go up and slip stitch and attach this strip to the previous strip. You're going to insert your hook from front to back into the next chain 3 loop of the next shell row of the previous strip. So here's our previous strip. Here's the chain 3 space. Insert from front to back and slip stitch. So this is how you're joining your strips. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And this is if you're a new crocheter, you really have to pay attention of how you're turning your work and where you're going. You're going to turn your work, and you're going to skip the first 2 stitches, and you're going to insert into the 3rd double crochet of that 5 double crochet group you just made. So you're always slip stitching into the current shell stitch that you just worked. So skip 1, 2, insert into the 3rd stitch and slip stitch. And what you're doing is making your chain 3 loop to work your stitches. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to turn your work again. And now we're going to work 5 double crochet into this chain 3 space. Yarn over, insert into that chain 3 space, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is the end of the repeat. So this is what I'm calling step 2. So we're going to repeat step 2 again. So let's begin. We're going to slip stitch into the end chain 3 space of the next shell row of the previous strip or column. So this is our previous strip. So you're going to insert, here's the next shell row, insert from front to back through that chain 3 space right on the edge of that row and slip stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to turn your work. You're going to skip the first 2 double crochet of that 5 double crochet group, insert from front to back under the top 2 loops, and slip stitch. You just created your chain 3 loop. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work again, and now you're on the right side of the work and you can see that chain 3 space. We're going to work 5 double crochet into our chain 3 space. Yarn over, insert into that chain 3 space, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is the end of step 2. So we're going to work right up to the end of the strip. Now when you get to the end of the strip, it's very important to pay attention, because if you don't do that last shell, if you think you're at the end but you're really not, and you don't do that last shell, what will happen is your work will stair step and you won't have an even end. And I'll show you that when I get to that point. So let's go ahead and repeat step 2 again. We're going to slip stitch into the chain 3 space at the end of the next row. So you're moving up to the next row, insert from front to back through that ending chain 3 space and slip stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work. You're going to skip the first 2 double crochet, insert into the top of the 3rd, going under both loops, and slip stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to turn your work and you'll see you're back onto the right side of your work. There's your chain 3 space, and we're going to work 5 double crochet into that chain 3 space. Yarn over, insert into the chain 3 space, work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is the end of step 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue. If your strip is longer and you're making an afghan or whatever you're making, you would continue repeating step 2. So if you need help, you can click back on the video and keep repeating step 2 until you get to the last shell row. So this is where I don't want you to get confused. You have one more shell set to go. So when you're working this pattern, especially if you have a longer strip, when you get this shell worked and you slip stitch here in this chain 3 space, you might think that you're done. And if you do that, then your work will stair step as you're making it. So when you get here, you still have to make one more set of stitches. So let me take this back out and let's finish our strip. Now this is step 3. This is the step that when you get to the very last shell of your strip, you just worked your 5 double crochet, you did not join it yet. So here is the last row of the previous strip. So to begin step 3, you're going to insert and slip stitch into the chain 3 space. So insert from front to back in the ending chain 3 space and slip stitch. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to turn your work. You're going to skip the first 2 stitches, insert into the 3rd stitch under the top 2 loops and slip stitch. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. You're going to turn your work, and now we're going to work 5 double crochet into this ending chain 3 space. Yarn over, insert into that chain 3 space, work your 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to look at your work. You're at the top of your work. You have where you joined here in that ending chain 3 space, and we're going to skip the first stitch here, the first double crochet. You're going to insert into the 2nd double crochet, and you're going to slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. So this joins your work, and now we're just going to fasten off. So when you look at your work, you'll notice I have 5 shells in the first column, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And when you look at the 2nd column, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So always make sure when you slip stitch into this last chain 3 space that you do that final shell and join between the 1st and 2nd stitch. That's it. That's how easy it is to do the Triton Shell Stitch Mile a Minute Join as you go stitch pattern. Now to keep adding more strips, and you just want to add more and more until you get it to the width you want, you just click back on the video where we started with the white, and you will follow the column 2 or the additional strip portion of the video, and you'll just join each new color in the same way and continue working and adding as many strips as you want to your work. So again, there is where I use the solid colors. This one is where I used all the same color, but even when you use a solid color, you still have to join each section into that first row end stitch and work up. And then you fasten off the white, and then you come down and start all over again, join your white and work your next strip, and so on. This is my final sample where I thought it was just so pretty, using up some of those variegated yarns with white separating. Just a great pattern for a scraptastic project. So a special thank you to Marna Oliver, also known as Keto Marnie on YouTube. Thank you so much, Marna, for bringing this stitch pattern to my attention. It's really unique, and I really had a lot of fun figuring out how to make this stitch pattern. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this Stitch of the Week this week. And remember, the free pattern is in the description box underneath this video. You can click that link, go right to my website, and you'll just click on the name of the stitch and a little file will show up on the bottom of your screen. Click that file and you can print it right out and follow along with the video. Happy crocheting, everyone!